speaking of energy, for the Buccaneers, the big question is, who are they going to bring in? Energy guy who can get after the quarterback. That, for a lot of Bucs fans, Pat, is the big missing piece.
Missing pieces. We need multiple.
Yes, you're right. But when it comes to exploring a trade, the big name, the big prize piece for this Buccaneers team, for a lot of teams, but specifically the needs of the Bucs, Maxx Crosby has been the name. Now, I've got a trade proposal here that I saw, and we're going to explore it. But before we get into that trade proposal, I do want to let you know now, because we just heard from General Manager Jason Light from the Scouting Combine in Indy. He was on with T-Kraz. John Spytek, Raiders General Manager, he was speaking out at the Scouting Combine in Indy, and he was asked about Maxx Crosby remaining in Las Vegas this season and how confident he is. And John Spytek said, I do, yes, I believe he will be here. That's what he thinks. He said, Max and I have a great relationship. He's in the building every day getting healthy right now. We talk on the phone. We text, so I have a great relationship with Max. Now, just because Spytek wants him and has a great relationship with him doesn't mean that if the right package comes along that he's not going to make that move.
No, but what it means is they're going to be wanting a lot.
Big package.
And I don't see Jason Light being the guy to do it. Like, if you were to put a percentage on it for the Bucs, what would you put it at? Of the Bucs being the team that makes the move for Maxx Crosby,
probably
if he's traded.
If he's traded?
Mm-hmm. If he's actually traded, what percentage do you think that it might be the Buccaneers?
35.
I'd go about 5.
It's not their M.O., and if you've been paying attention in the past throughout Jason Light's tenure, it's not the M.O. to make a big move like this, trading away assets, whether it be draft capital or an actual piece of your puzzle.
Somebody is likely going to be willing to blow John Spytek's doors off for Maxx. And again, as we both just noted, is probably going to have to land Maxx Crosby. Do I think by the way, every team in the NFL would love Maxx Crosby. So do I think of 31 teams that Jason Light offers up the biggest, most attractive package to the Raiders? I think it's about a 5% chance that's the case.
Well, let's explore if, let's say, it was a deal that was more of a higher percentage. Benjamin Solak of ESPN, he put this trade package out there. The Buccaneers send the Raiders a package of Chris Godwin, 2026 first-round pick, number 15 overall, and a 2027 second-round pick. So only one first-round pick involved, but Chris Godwin and a second-round pick in the following year. In exchange for Maxx Crosby and a 2027 fifth-round pick. Now, you can even take the fifth-round pick off the board, just Maxx Crosby.
I'll take the 5. I mean, if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to take that pick because we've seen Jason Light do some amazing things with fifth-round picks. But I personally would be very surprised if Jason Light would pull the trigger on that.
Forget about surprise, Pat. Would you
I would
do
not.
it?
That's what I was going to say. I'd be surprised if he would make the move, and personally, I would not. I would not make that trade and give up Chris Godwin and 2 early picks
Why?
For Maxx Crosby.
Why? We've talked about it. You've talked about it. They need a game wrecker.
Mm-hmm.
Maxx Crosby is in his prime.
You know what I'm not doing ever when I'm making a move, right? And this is why NFL teams, for the most part, you don't see a lot of these trades. Maybe a couple here and there where there's a player involved. But for the most part, teams that are trading away stars, they want draft picks because they're rebuilding, right? So you very rarely see these kinds of trades. But for me, what I'm never going to do if I'm a general manager, and I've said I'd be a bad one, but here's the one thing I would never do. I'm not going to create an issue by making a move. I'm not going to create a hole by making a move. And that's exactly what you could do by trading Chris Godwin in an atmosphere where it looks like Mike Evans is at least going to explore free agency. And again, as Aaron mentioned, we'll have some comments from his agent on with T-Kraz yesterday coming up. But if Mike Evans walks out the door and you trade Chris Godwin, you've just created a hole at a position that we were talking about how deep you were a year ago. Like, to me, I'm not doing that.
That is, and I understand that. And that would be my only hesitation would be if you lose Chris Godwin, who I think Chris Godwin was getting healthier as the season progressed. Once he got back, he was getting healthier, starting to look like Chris Godwin. We saw years ago it took an extra season for Chris to really light it up again and look like Chris.
And this might have been a more significant injury.
And maybe this offseason and getting time to heal even more and get back to football operations and activity, next year he's even better. So I understand that, and I feel that trepidation with that move as well. Here's why I would do this trade. Even if Mike Evans does not come back, Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillan, Tez Johnson, you're going to be able to find a receiver if you need to. Now, it might not be the ilk of a Chris Godwin and definitely not of a Mike Evans, but you'll be able to find the pieces and the weapons. I would like to bring in another tight end, a good tight end. But you get Maxx Crosby, and you only have to trade one first-round pick, a 15 overall, middle-of-the-road pick, middle-of-the-pack pick. I'm making it. Because Maxx Crosby,
How did we look without a veteran receiver last year?
How did we look without pass rush?
Well, yeah, bad. And again, that has to be addressed, but I'm not creating another issue to go get it.
For the first part of the season,
I'd rather trade 2 1s.
You could make the argument for the first part of the season, their receiving core, when they were winning games without, Chris Godwin, they were better. Emeka Egbuka, when he had to rise to the occasion, was better.
He was better when he had Mike. And then afterwards, it started to decline when he had to be the guy, right? So when he has to be the guy, are they good enough? If he and Jalen McMillan need to be your top 2 receivers on this team, I think that's a major hit to this offense, and I think we start looking at this offense very differently if you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the outside. Unless you bring in a veteran who's going to be a very productive guy for you, I think you're taking a major swing. If you're Jason Light, to make that kind of move.
My big trepidation when it comes to Godwin and trading him is more so, and this is why you say you'd be a bad GM, a bad owner. I would too. Chris Godwin gave up money to stay here, and he could have gone to the Patriots. Now, what do the Patriots look like with Chris Godwin? Do they get? They brought Diggs in, and I don't know.
They probably win the Super Bowl if they had Chris Godwin.
But they would have given him a lot of money to go over there. And we know that. He knows that. His agent knows that. He decided to stay here. And I think the Buccaneers, and at least Jason Light, the type of guy he is, and I know it's a business, but I'm sure that plays a role in this. And it's a very unique situation, but one that I think does play a role in it because he values relationships. And it's something that makes Jason Light such a trusted GM and a good GM. He values relationships, and that would be torching a relationship.
I also think the value of Chris Godwin is much greater in Tampa Bay than it is in Las Vegas. If you're a bad football team that's in a rebuilding process, you hope to be good within a couple of years. Do you want to bring in a guy with his injury history and at his age? I don't know that deal is as attractive to the Raiders as it probably should be.
Probably not.